When buying cheap white label art supplies, there's a big chance they could be completely trash. Maybe not at first, but 1-2 years down the line, that's when I bought all of these art supplies from Shein. Today we're reviewing every single item, testing and rating them. We're on a mission to find out if Shein art supplies are legitimate long-term or just plain trash. This is everything from the first Shein haul, and this is the second. Let's start here. Okay, first up, since you already saw it, this is a single hole punch. Let's see how it works. It's been years, and this is seriously something I still reach for. Okay, this is just a certificate from my small business that I messed up. It has the tray, the paper slides underneath, and then this bit presses down. Like so. This is also pretty thick card, and look at that, after 2 years it's still working well. Like, there's a lot of positives. It's fun, it's easy to use, easy to reach for, not super messy. It works as intended, it's easy for beginners. But there is one pretty big con. This is the tray that keeps all of the little pieces of paper in, and can you see? It just does that. It literally does not stay shut. So if you're working with collage and making a lot of holes, that's gonna get messy. It literally just falls out. I don't know where they went. Yeah, they're not in there anymore. Exactly the point. Where did they go? 2 years later, I'm gonna rate this a 9 out of 10 just because of the tray issue. Other than that, it still works really well. Oh, there it is. There's one. I don't know where the other one is. Okay, next up, let's grab these stickers. These are literally just clear stickers of plants. They were so cheap. And as you can see, they haven't really faded in the slightest. However, there are a couple of cons. The biggest one by far is that these are impossible to open. Because of the type of plastic and the way it's cut in the machine, it is so difficult to separate. Yep. Oh, there we go. Super fiddly, and if you don't have nails, they could be pretty impossible to open. You can also see a couple of them have marks on the edges as well. So honestly, you get what you pay for. That being said, I bought these stickers before AI was everywhere, and now these marketplaces are just flooded, like Amazon, Temu. There are lots of AI stickers on there, and also stolen art. So nowadays, I wouldn't get them from there, and I would recommend getting them from a small business instead. In the haul, we stuck it down here and it still lasted okay. I'm gonna go for a 4 out of 10. Next up, it's looking at me. It's this craft knife. Nice color, nice design. It's retractable, so it's completely safe. However, there is one very big flaw. You have to hold it to use it. That means if you're cutting on something, you literally have to hold it at a very specific angle to cut, and you could slip quite easily. It's kind of dangerous a little bit because it's quite hard to focus on holding this and moving the angle whilst also holding the clip in place. I mean, it's still sharp though, like it does the job, kind of. Like, it's usable but very tricky. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. The biggest item is this gouache palette. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really used it as intended. I moved house and my jelly gouache palette went very moldy. Couldn't be saved, unfortunately. So I got a little bit too scared to use this, especially because my gouache is kind of fancy and the risk of it going moldy just scared me a little bit too much. I've actually only used it as a palette to hold gouache whilst I was creating gouache brush pens like this. So I don't know what we're gonna find. It's been about 5 months. It has a silicone top and a plastic bottom. It's quite secure, you can tip it upside down. Although it does have these edges here, I don't really get it. Maybe they like clip into each other or something, but it's quite sharp, so it wouldn't be ideal for children. It's not great. Did it work? It's not super wet, it's just a little bit moist. But the others are fully dry. Like, that kind of defeats the point. I would say as a stay wet palette, maybe it's not as secure as it looks for it to have completely dried up. Also, a weird color and odd design. I'm not quite sure. It kind of feels like we're missing something there. 4 out of 10. Next up has got to be my favorite. This is a corner rounder. You press it down here, pop a bit of paper in, and it collects it here. To this day, I use it for stickers. I use it to cut art trading cards and ACOs. This gets used like every single week, and it's still pretty sharp, and we have round corners now. Okay, so it's sharp, easy to use, perfect for beginners and would make a fantastic stocking filler actually. It's one of those things I think that you would either use all the time or never, and for me it's all the time. However, it does struggle with certain papers, but watercolor paper, especially handmade, also stickers, because it's shiny laminate on top of the sticker paper, it does struggle to get through both. Also, I should point out, if you happen to buy something like this one instead, this one is trash. It's incredibly blunt. Yes, this one is very good, but it's very hit or miss. If you get a slightly different design or if it comes from a different shop, it might not work as well. Saying that, I am in love. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It works so well. Sometimes it needs to be neatened up a little bit with stickers, but other than that, perfect. Okay, next I think we have to talk about these brushes. When I unboxed these in the haul, the end literally broke immediately. Obviously, if you don't hang your paintbrushes upside down, that's not gonna bother you, but it's still worth noting it did basically break straight after opening. And I actually do like to hang them upside down on the pegboard to dry, but I have not reached for these since buying them. Let's get some paints out so I can show you why. They're long, quite cheap, and look like they'd work, but they don't hold that sharp of a point. That's why I haven't really been reaching for them. They also don't hold very much paint. You see that? That's just not a fine point. I like mop brushes because they can come to a point if you control them. It just doesn't hold very much paint. And the finest I can get it is that. Like, it's consistent, but it's not really a point. The line width doesn't change very much either. And when you're trying to get a thin line, it's really hard for it to not be shaky. Saying that, they do actually work well. And I think it really comes down to style and personal preference. If you happen to like long, thin brushes and you're not looking for it to come to a fine point, these are actually very good and you might like them. But for me personally, that was very inconvenient and I would much rather just reach for a mop. So I'm gonna say 4 out of 10. Next up, we actually have this. You remember this from last time? It looks a little bit different now. This is kind of like a water brush, but it's built a bit different. Originally, I put grey ink in here, but now we've got red ink. I guess you could do anything, kind of like watercolor would also work. Here's the thing, it looks fancy. You could easily see this in a stationery store for honestly like $10. That would not surprise me. You have a clasp, it's really thick plastic, screw top, so it's fully sealed, a brush tip, clear design, and this is actually the mechanism. Unscrew the end, suck it up, and then you screw it to get it down. Like, it's a really fancy concept. Whilst it looks fancy, and honestly, I could see myself buying this in a shop, practicality-wise, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Firstly, this screw takes up half the amount. So that means there's actually hardly any ink stored in the barrel. Love the screw tip, but it does constantly come out of the brush. Like, there's nothing stopping it, so it's always at the brush tip, which is also pretty small. And that also means you can't control how much ink comes out. You can't make it more or less pigmented. You don't really have a lot of control over it. It just comes out. But it works, it's a fun design, and it's just like this. It just keeps going. And then when it runs out, all you have to do is squeeze the end. You can see it moving up a little, and there you go. Okay, it's a little bit messy if you squeeze it the wrong way. 6 out of 10, it's good for the price. These you could easily find in a stationery shop. They are little sword pens. When I say little, they are quite small, especially when they get even smaller. Okay, look, they're fun. Easy to find too when they're in the pot. Like, it's a unique aesthetic, you can't lose them, but they are not comfortable to write with, as you might imagine. It's cheap. Oh. That doesn't even work. That's a slight issue. There's not very much ink inside because of how small they are. The metallic chips off. The nibs can chip here as well. Like, for a child that's into swords, this is a really fun little stocking filler. Other than that very specific use, there isn't really any use for them. 2 out of 10. This item here is actually a little washi tape sticker book. It's grey, so the theme is grey. It's just filled with a bunch of photos inside. Again, this is pre-AI, so I don't know to know what they'd look like now. It's kind of what you would see on old Instagram. Like a lot of these are landscapes, they're really cute designs, and all you have to do is just peel them off. It's still sticky. You can see they're pretty transparent and it feels more like paper than anything else. Pop it on top there. There we go. That's how transparent they are. And I will say actually, because of this, it's really hard to visualize what they're gonna look like on your page. If you've got collage down, okay, that's an odd design. If you have collage down, you're not gonna know what it looks like on top. Like this is dark, but how dark is it actually gonna look? It's also a very strict color theme. Like there's nothing going on here, and some are definitely weird. That's a bit odd. 7 out of 10. Okay, the last item from the first haul is this correction pen that I could not for the life of me figure out how to use, and I've not really used it since. It's a clear minimalist design. I'm not quite sure why they chose like a brown on top. It does have a cover, but it often just stays open. I think it's something like, oh, there we go, there we go. Oh, I've forgotten it. Okay, after the haul, I did try it again and I did manage to get it working. Oh, there we go. Works, but I don't reach for it. It's kind of unpredictable. It's a nice design, and I think if you had it nearby, you did a lot of writing, you could probably use it quite a lot. It's very difficult to match the paper you're using because it's kind of a little bit cream. Chances are it's not gonna match perfectly. I mean, you can see that, right? It's also pretty cheap, pretty flimsy. So for that, I think I'm gonna rate it a 3 out of 10. The thing you gotta remember about stationery supplies on Shein is that they would be shipped separately to clothes. It's a marketplace, they come from all sorts of different shops. And for that reason, the exact same supplies could be sold on Amazon. I could see this in Miniso easily, in pink. And it genuinely could be because it comes from the warehouse. Really, you could be buying the exact same item from a shop for double the price, and it could have even come from the same warehouse. Okay, now we're moving on to the second haul, which is from 1 year ago. And it's surprising. A lot of pens this time around. Okay, starting a bit silly, we have these. These are whiteboard pens. As you can see, they really are that small. Like, that is tiny. Lots of colors, and to be honest, they're kind of perfect for my needs. I don't actually use them very often, so it's kind of fine. Although you can see that is way lighter than that color. I really like the eraser on the back. I think that's really handy. Like, it's a cool design. However, colors are a bit weird. Like, this green looks pretty neon and more like turquoise. They are kind of different colors to the lid. I really love this system, but they are small. They're hard to hold as well because of how minuscule they are. Like, look at it. But kind of does the job. 5 out of 10. Next up, I actually really love them. I got these 2 packs of papers. These are textured papers, which you'll kind of be familiar with if you like collage, journaling, paper. Retro cloth material. In 1 year, I've actually used about half. There were 60, so I've used about 30, that's fine. These ones actually have a really lovely texture on them, very muted tones. You can see that, right? You can see that texture. I actually love these so much. Like, they're a little bit grainy, but for a pattern like that, I think it works, right? It kind of adds to it. You can see a little bit of the texture on the back there, and these actually look really cool with alcohol marker on top. I used them for the 100 heads challenge, number 2, and I actually kind of prefer it to on the paper. Like, look how cool that one looks. Both of these are from the set as well, and this one here is from the next set. Honestly, 10 out of 10. These are perfect. Okay, moving on to this set. This is the one that lied. It has a couple of textured papers, okay, like with a little bit of embossing. This one has some butterflies on, and there were a couple of smaller ones with a grid as well, but I've actually used both of those. In the photo, they put all of them at the front, so I thought it would continue, but no, we've got a couple of big ones here. So basically on the photo, they layered it like this, so it looked like every single one had some kind of texture. Then on the back, we have these printed paper sheets. They're so flimsy in comparison. The fact they hid them all behind that, and that deception is why I'm gonna give them a 7 out of 10. Well, actually, the denim is a bit weird, but I quite like the tea towels. Look how cute they are. Maybe 6. I did get a bunch of little sketchbooks. That's how many we have. I believe it was a pack of 20 and a couple have been used already. They have little animals on, but it does repeat. I think it's just those 4 designs. These were cheap. You get what you pay for. You get 20 little sketchbooks like this, but the paper is something else. Like, it does work. You can paint the cover. There's just a couple of little staples there, so it could easily fall out. The paper is so incredibly thin though. Look how thin that paper is. That means it can easily tear. Like, look how flimsy it is. That is crazy. To be honest, I would have preferred like 10 sketchbooks with a slightly better quality. I think that would have been better. Worse than expected, but also to be expected, really. Honestly, it's fine for doodles, it's fine for day trips. If you don't want to take a nice sketchbook somewhere, you could take this and you're not going to be upset if it gets messy. Also, Buddy has one. He's literally just using it for notes, which is another option. But it is awful quality. It's so easy to tear, and I would not buy this again. 2 out of 10. Do not recommend. Like, I'll use them. I'll figure it out somehow. Okay, this was a pretty big one for my small business. I got a little plastic, like a scraper, like a wiper. I guess you could use it for a car. You can use it for a lot of things. It's literally plastic and kind of felt wrapped around. That's all it is. But considering I've had this for 1 year, cost about £1 or like $1, it's not fallen apart in the slightest. The glue is still down. It's not worn away. This is in perfect condition 1 year later, and I have made so many stickers with this, because what you can do is add cold laminate to your sticker, like a big clear sticker, wipe it down like that. And you can also remove air bubbles. It's got a lot of use. Honestly, I bought it expecting the felt to wear down, and it hasn't. So for that, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, only because it's so small that when you're working on one side, you kind of have to go like this. But if you had a big one, you could just wipe. But to be honest, you can probably get this in shops and it's identical. It works. To go with that, this is not the actual product. I got 4 types of cold laminate: rainbows, stars, dots, oh, and broken glass. They are 4 types that I still use to this day, and by getting them as a set like that, I now have invested in the bigger packs. I pretty much got 50 of all of them. Works exactly the same. It's just a big sticker. It's so pretty. I am actually really glad I got them from there, because they're pretty identical no matter where you get them from. Unless it's a big named brand, it's gonna be the same product. So even though they're all gone, it's a 10 out of 10. They are identical to all the others I've tried. Before we move on to this big one, let's grab this. This is a cute little sketchbook, but it has a white cover that you can paint on like I did. I actually completed Peachtober last year in 15 hours. So that's 31 pages, and there's probably another 30 left, really, isn't there? It works well with a lot of mediums. I've mostly used it for ink, and there's no spreading. When it comes to small sketchbooks like this, I really don't know if there's any point in getting like 100% cotton or really good paper, because generally you're only using 1 or 2 layers and you're creating quickly. It's just not really worth it. I believe this brand is also on Amazon as well, so this is probably cheaper. Only thing is, with the binding, you can get down the gaps here, which I think I did do a few times. Only thing is, I wouldn't exactly say it's for watercolor. I mean, they did, but in my opinion, I think the paper is a little bit too smooth. There is no texture whatsoever. I'm gonna be honest, it's actually really quite good. 8 out of 10. Moving on to our final art supply, this huge set of mild liners. Oh, and if you're enjoying this video, why don't you give it a like? This has been fun. I think it's always interesting to see whether cheap art supplies actually last, because something like these pens, yeah, initially in the unboxing they worked. You don't know, they might dry up immediately. We're gonna test it. These are fake mild liners. You can see they're pretty good dupes. They say highlighter instead of mild liners. They are identical for over half the price. And this is how many we got in one set. They do still work. Very similar to mild liners. I've actually used these a lot. You might have seen in like the 24-hour challenge or the 5-hour coloring challenge. Like, I fill quite a lot of pages with these, and that is actually like that. It's full-on coloring, and they are not dry. The consistency is pretty identical. Mild liners are generally a little bit streaky, but these are exactly the same. And also they are nice muted colors like this. I will say some aren't. Like this orange here is actually neon, that's highlighter. Same with this yellow that looks like a lovely pastel yellow. It's highlighter. This is a side-by-side of the genuine mild liner and the fake one. They are a little bit different. They are longer and they do do look a little bit cheaper. The original is fuzzier, near enough identical. I did notice coloring that maybe they were slightly on the drier side, but that was after filling an entire page. You can see even there, it's pretty similar. I thought they were gonna dry. I thought so too. I thought they would. They haven't. They are very, very good dupes still. 9 out of 10. These are all of the supplies from both Shein hauls, and 2 years later, half of them are still very good, which is the biggest surprise of it all. So maybe these white label products are pretty identical to what we see in shops. Well, I hope you found this interesting. I have. Be sure to subscribe and I'll meet you back here on Sunday. Bye bye.